David Wozniak is a young man living in Quebec, Canada. He makes money by frequently donating sperm to the La France Clinic. At the beginning of the movie, he is in the middle of one of his visits to the sperm bank, pleasuring himself to pictures of women in a magazine. The scene shifts to 23 years later, in 2011. David is now a middle-aged man, but he still doesn't have a definite job. He is woken up by thugs, whom he owes $80,000. They dump him into the bathtub, threatening him to return their money. Following the unusual morning, he goes to his parents' butcher shop, where he works as a delivery man. He is 45 minutes late and is yelled at for taking the delivery truck home again. The workers in the shop, along with his father, are on a football team and are about to take a team picture the next day. David was told to pick up the jerseys for the picture 3 weeks ago, but he still hasn't gotten it. Everyone is tired of him not doing as told, even when the job is simple. After work, he rushes to the clothing store, but the owner happens to be closing it just then. He quickly parks his truck in the middle of the road and begs the owner to give him the jerseys. The man does it out of sympathy, but David gets a parking ticket in the process. Following that, he visits several banks to ask for a loan to pay off his debts. However, he doesn't have the required collateral for them to pass the loan. After facing several rejections, he returns home and tells his coworker on the phone that he has received the jerseys. The person on the other end is skeptical, knowing that David isn't reliable. Outside, his truck is taken away by the traffic police because he received too many parking tickets. The jerseys were still in the truck, which means the team has to take pictures without them. Everyone is disappointed in David, although they are used to his behavior. After that, David goes to his girlfriend Valerie's house. She is a police officer and is way more financially independent than David. He hasn't spoken to her in a few days, which Valerie is upset about. As David tries to explain himself, she reveals that she is pregnant. David is taken aback by the revelation. He cannot tell if he likes the news or not. Valerie senses that he is hesitant and claims that she is going to keep the child, no matter what. Following the interaction, David goes to meet his friend, the lawyer. The lawyer has 4 kids, all of whom refuse to listen to him. He has been troubled by fatherhood and suggests David not have children ever in his life. David, however, wants to be a father. He is only confused if this is the right time for him. The very next morning, he goes to Valerie's work and declares to her that he is ready to be a father to their child. Upon reaching home, he meets a man in a suit who introduces himself as Chamberlain. He is the lawyer for the clinic that David used to donate sperm to. Between 1988 and 1990, David donated sperm to the bank under the name Starbuck. He made over 693 donations over the period of 23 months. David spanked it once a day for the hoard. Because of some kind of error, the company provided all of its clients with David's sperm, and as a result, he has fathered 533 children. Out of them, 142 want to know his identity. But before every donation, David had signed a confidentiality contract, according to which the clinic isn't allowed to share his personal information. Hence, the 142 children who want to get to know their father have sued the company and their confidentiality clause so they would be given the information about David. Hearing all this, David freaks out and repeatedly says that he is not Starbuck. After the encounter, he goes to meet his friend, the lawyer, and tells him about the matter. The lawyer wants him to file a countersuit against the clinic and make some money, but David refuses to do so. He notes down all the information about the sperm donation procedure and hands David an envelope with information about all of his children. The next morning, David decides to take a look at a paper inside the envelope out of curiosity. The paper he pulls out has information about a star football player, Riccardo Donatelli. David realizes that he is the father of one of his favorite players and rushes to tell the lawyer. They go to Riccardo's game and cheer for him. Now that David knows the player is his son, he is proud of his genes. At first, he had decided that he wouldn't get involved with his children's lives, but curiosity gets the best of him. David pulls out a second piece of paper and gets to know about Etienne, his son who works at a restaurant. David goes to the listed restaurant and finds Etienne arguing with someone on the phone. It turns out that he is a struggling actor who has just missed an opportunity to audition for a huge role because he is working. David offers to handle the place for him while he goes to the audition. Etienne believes he is a robber who is looking for a tactic to rob their shop. But when offered the delivery truck to go to the audition, he agrees. A while later, the restaurant's owner arrives at the place and tells David he's going to fire Etienne. Hours pass before Etienne finally returns and says that he got the part. David is glad that he was able to make a difference in his son's life. At night, he brings out a third piece of paper and finds out about his daughter, Julie. He goes to her place as a pizza delivery guy and finds her on the phone, yelling at someone. While he is still in the house, she locks herself in a room and overdoses on a drug. David quickly has her sent to the hospital. The next day, Julie is sent to a rehabilitation center, where people assume that he is her father. Julie doesn't reveal the truth because she wants David to sign the release papers as her father so she can be let free. David consults with the doctor and tries to convince Julie to stay in rehab, but the girl promises that she will be better outside because she just got her dream job yesterday and she doesn't want to lose it. At last, David decides to release her. The next morning, he goes to her workplace and sees she has started the job as she had promised. On returning home, he pins the papers with his children's information to the wall and goes to meet them one by one. Some of them have grown to be nail technicians, musicians, lifeguards, tour guides, and so on. He meets them all and goes out of his way to help them if they need it. One day, Valerie visits him at the shop and asks him to come to the doctor's with her. After the appointment, they go to a park and watch children play. Valerie is scared about the pregnancy and thinks that she is not ready to be a mother. David, on the other hand, promises to be the best father and comforts her. The following day, he finds out that one of his children, named Raphael, is disabled. He goes to the home of disabled people and nervously talks to his son. Raphael realizes that someone is around, but he is unable to talk or respond because of his disability. David spends the day talking to him, even though the kid cannot reply. He also feeds Raphael during lunch break. The next day, while following his other son, David ends up at a meeting organized by all the children who were born because of Starbuck. Seeing all of his offspring in one place overwhelms David, and he stands up involuntarily. He is suddenly handed a microphone and asked to speak. David tells them that he loves them and gives a heartfelt speech about all of them being siblings. After the program, he meets Julia, Etienne, and other children who he has helped. To hide his identity, he pretends to be Raphael's adopted father. The children have formed a community of sorts and have started to socialize with each other as half-siblings. When David returns home that day, he is again dumped into the bathtub by the thugs to whom he owes money. At night, one of his sons, Anthony, who has somehow found out about his identity, comes to his house. He says that he doesn't want to reveal David's identity to the people and is only looking to spend a few days with his biological father. David agrees to let him stay at the house. He and Valerie go to his parents' house for dinner that day. As the table erupts into friendly chatter, David's father tells them about the time David bought them tickets to Italy. It turns out that his parents hadn't had a chance to go on their honeymoon, so David used all the money that he had collected from donating sperm to take them on vacation. Although no one knows where he got the money from, they praise his thoughtfulness. Valerie looks at David differently after finding out what he had done for his family. Then, David and Anthony go to a football practice together and enjoy a father-son day. The day goes well, until David mentions that he has to tend to his real family now that Valerie is pregnant. The following day, David's children organize a picnic. They sing, dance, eat together, and have a lot of fun as siblings. However, the day after the event, the story of Starbuck catches the media's attention. Although the children didn't mean to make Starbuck look bad, the media paints him as a pervert who used his sexuality to make money. When David asks Valerie what she thinks about Starbuck, she claims that he's no different from a prostitute. The two get into an argument about the matter. One day, before a football practice, the team is talking about Starbuck. All of David's teammates think he is a creep and a pervert. His brother asks him if he has ever donated sperm, but David denies having done anything like that. The conversation gets heated when they assume he is lying. David almost attacks his brother and has to be stopped by the others. That evening, he is informed that the thugs whom he owes money threatened his father and tried to drown him in the bathtub. If he doesn't pay off the debt soon, his entire family will suffer. Hence, David goes to the lawyer and says he will file a countersuit against the clinic for using his sperm unethically. He hopes that after winning the lawsuit, the clinic will provide him monetary compensation. The lawyer is happy to have finally gotten a big case that will bring him fame if he wins. For the next few days, they work very hard to create a strong case. The night before the ruling, they play football in the pouring rain to relieve stress. The judge finally announces that Starbuck is entirely entitled to his anonymity, which means the children will not get to see their biological father unless he wants to show himself deliberately. David is also entitled to receive a total of $200,000 for damages and interest. David celebrates the win from his house, while the lawyer is swarmed by reporters, congratulating him for the win. He expresses his gratitude to his mother, kids, and accidentally says he is thankful to David as well. When the reporters ask him who David is, he claims he is his boyfriend. The children are also interviewed about their thoughts and opinions on Starbuck. They claim that although they wanted to see their father, they understand if he wants to keep living his life normally. They also declare that Starbuck is not a freak or a pervert that the media portrays him to be. In fact, the children think that he is a nice man who gave them life and a chance to be happy. David watches the interview, regretting that he cannot be a father to all of his biological children. He wants to meet them as their dad, but is scared that he won't get the compensation if he does so. He meets the lawyer, who confirms that coming out as Starbuck is a great risk. On returning home that day, David finds his father waiting in the kitchen. As they chat, David tells him that he is Starbuck. Unlike what he has expected, his father isn't disappointed or sad. In fact, he advises David to tell everyone the truth. He also hands his son $80,000 as his part of the inheritance from the butcher shop. Now that David has enough money to pay off his debts, he emails all of his children about his true identity. That night, Valerie goes into premature labor and gives birth to a healthy baby boy. David's father, brothers, along with many of his children, come to the hospital to congratulate him. They embrace in a big group hug. David tells Valerie about him being Starbuck. She freaks out initially, but eventually accepts him as he is. The baby gets numerous presents from all of his half-siblings. In the end, we see David and the children in a subway, supporting one of their brothers, who is a singer. Good thing he has over 500 siblings. Musicians these days need the support.